Protect your home with dependable roof repair and service. GarciaDidMyRoof.com.
WTGL and HD1 Baton Rouge.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day is on the air.
Presented by Super Chevy, your local Super Chevy dealers.
It's time to talk LSU football on the flagship home of the Tigers. Call 225-499-9898. It's Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Now, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, here's Charles Hannegriff and Richard Dixon.
The losing streak comes to an end as LSU beats Vanderbilt 24-17. It's post-game the way it used to be as we go back to the future here on Eagle 98.1. Good evening, everybody. I'm Charles Hannegriff, along with Gordy Rush. Man, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you, Charlie.
Richard Dixon has the week off. Remember that movie Seems Like Old Times?
Yeah.
The one where Chevy Chase robs the bank and his ex-wife tries to help him out. Yeah, that's what this feels like. They were asking me when's the last time we've done a post game together. It's been a minute, so we'll get back into it. Pretty, at least in the regular season. Anyway, as LSU brings the 3-game losing streak to an end, 24-17. A win that LSU needed for more than just what it did for you in the standings, more of a emotional and a way to, I think the phrase I've heard the most often is stop the bleeding, because it's been a rough go for LSU. The game started out like the last month is gone. Bad. 3 and out for LSU to start it, and then Diego Pavia hit Quincy Skinner for a 63-yard touchdown. And before the band even got in their seats, LSU's down 7-0, and it could have gotten out of hand. It could have been one of those, turning points very early in the game where LSU just said, you know what, the hell with it. We came out and we got punched right in the mouth, and you can let it go or you can fight back. And they chose to fight back. And with the face mask penalty on the play, they had to kick off from midfield, and with the squib, Trades Green gets blown up. LSU gets Williams gets popped, and they got to start from their own 10-yard line. And Gordy, I thought this was the most important drive of the game. They had to answer. Too much is going wrong for too long. They needed something good to happen to them. If they go 3 and out there, and Vanderbilt gets good field position and tacks a score, this is a whole different game to me. But they go 90 yards in 8 plays, 57 through the air, 33 on the ground. Williams breaking tackles for the touchdown, and it settled things down early. They tie the score, and something good happened, and it felt like it had been a long time.
Right. No, it had been. And, to me, being down there, being on the field in this crazy world of SEC football, it seems like yesterday that LSU was in a position to, a couple times, to put Texas A&M away.
Yeah,
and it's all happened so quickly, and so it was good to see LSU deal with some adversity, and they had obviously done that well, in the last 2 games and a half, and yeah, I thought that was a huge series, and there were so many good things to take out of this game tonight that at least heading in the right direction. I realize it's a good Vanderbilt team, it's a different looking Vanderbilt team, but I thought that was a huge part.
Settled them down. LSU only allowed 111 yards over the next 4 drives. They turned back a 4th and 2 from from the LSU 20, which was one of the bigger plays of the first half. They put together 2 long drives of their own, one of 70 and one of 80 yards. Now, they missed on a 4th and goal from the Vandy 3, but they got a touchdown on the other drive to put them up 14-7 at the half. And this is not perfect red zone execution, but it's a lot better. This has been the biggest thing. And I want to get to the balance in a second, because I thought it was one of the major themes of this game. But they just have not, for all of the time that they have possessed the ball in the last 2 games, scored enough points. And honestly, they could have scored some more tonight, but they got in enough. And the second touchdown, I thought, gave them a little bit of breathing room as they went to the break.
No, absolutely. And I thought Williams ran hard. Again, it was good balance, and I thought better play selection down there. There's still some things I question, and we can get through that, the heart of it. But I think is better play selection and more importantly, taking what the defense is going to give you. If you're going to get man, take those shots, and I thought they did a better job tonight.
Second most important drive of the game was the first one of the second half. A Vandy field goal closed it to 14-10, and then LSU went 77 yards in 10 plays. Again, 68 through the air, but they ran it 4 times out of the 10. The drive the play they needed to convert on the drive was a 4th and 5, where they hit C.J. Daniels down for 24 yards. It got him in position to score one play later. And I thought that put LSU in command of the game at that point. At that stage, when they were up 21-10, the Vandy offense at that point was one long play and then a field goal drive to start the second half. I thought LSU was ready to put the game on ice in the early portion of the fourth quarter, but a 4th and 9 fake punt. The special teams were shaky tonight. It was from deep in their own territory, from their own 26-yard line. Vandy converts it barely, and they get a touchdown on the drive. They get it to 24-17, and I don't know how you felt at that point, but the way I felt was, damn it, LSU's been in control of this game the whole way, and here they are sitting with under 10 minutes to go. And it's a touchdown game, and it really feels like it ought to be more than that.
Felt like it should have been more. Look, I think the good thing you take from this is that a team that has been through so many adverse moments, and I'm with you 100%. They should have been more separation in this game, but they found a way to run out the clock. And there's something to be said for that, especially over some of the struggles they had the last 3 weeks.
The drive that ended the game started with 5:47 to go, and LSU never gave it back. It was a nice balance on that drive, too. And I couldn't help but think, you'll forgive me for a second, of some of the Les Miles drives when they had the ball in that position against – the teams where they played one-score games, and it was 3 straight runs just to, extinguish timeouts or take time off the clock and keep it running and not be aggressive. I thought they showed terrific balance throughout the night, but on that drive in particular, you got to trust your quarterback, and he made some throws so that you're not just so predictable, and you run 3 plays and punt it back and leave the issue to your defense. Go ahead and win the doggone game right there.
Yeah, and you know what you're going to get, too. You know that they're going to sell out against the run. You got the matchups you want. Particularly love the little bubble to Anderson.
Yeah.
And then you ran that little fade, if you want to call it, stop fade on the side. You want Lacey to stay in bounds. There are a couple good calls that again, because they had to stop you. They thought you were going to run. You knew what they were going to run, and I thought Joe called a good game, a good series there.
It was far from perfect. LSU special teams had some problems. There were some drop passes. You mentioned the Lacey, going out of bounds. Trey'Dez Green, the route on the 4th down was not good.
No.
You'd hope that he would be a little bit further along than that, but. They built a better than 2-1 advantage in first downs. They did that by being very good on 3rd down. They were 8 of 13 this week after converting 13 times a week ago, and it's because the 3rd downs have been, at least in this game, they were more manageable than they were in the last game. They took a big shot early. They didn't panic. They only had 3 penalties. They scored enough in the red zone. They didn't turn the ball over, and that was the difference. I think the balance, Gordy, of the last 2 weeks, and maybe Brian Kelly's calling plays, maybe he's just suggesting plays, maybe he crafted the game plans on Thursday and said, look, stay within these parameters because we are going to run the football come hell or high water. And this was what we expected in September. And the more the run game stalled, the more it seemed like they became dependent on the pass game. They put a lot of pressure on Garrett Nussmeier, probably too much pressure on Garrett Nussmeier at times. They never had that balance. They've gotten it back the last 2, and I know they lost last week, but when you got a 32 to 37 run to pass, you average over 4 yards a carry, at least you're getting, you can throw 2 pitches for strikes now, and that's been missing for most of the year.
Yeah, look, Brian Kelly told me in the postgame interview, he said, we simplified things. Simplified on both sides, but especially offense. And you go to balance, yes, balance. But for me, I thought they ran with better pace. In person, it's too clunky. It just goes on. To me, you get there was less substitution packages, okay? Mm-hmm. And then you get the motion and the check with me, and then the defense shifts, and sometimes it would be a counter to that. I thought they ran with better pace. I wouldn't call it that they ran tempo, less substitution packages, And what I will use for you, it felt like they got into a rhythm tonight. And I keep going back to remembering Garrett Nussmeier when he was in high school. And I looked back a couple weeks ago to go see that. He ran a tempo offense. And for me, they did that against South Alabama, and then it kind of went away. They ran a little bit of tempo. I think clearing his head, getting him into a rhythm, simplifying things in general, simplifying all the stuff, and it was a step in the right direction.
Diego Pavia, who has had a fantastic year and is kind of the heartbeat of that team, had one big run. But other than that, they held him in check. He had 7 yards besides that the rest of the night. So one bust, and that was it. He made some nice throws. You're not going to shut him out. But I thought they did a good job of containing him. The running quarterback has been a problem. Next week, they're going to see Jackson Arnold, who ran all over Alabama tonight. We'll get to that later. But I thought that Diego Pavia, containing him was one of the big chores, and I thought they did a nice job, save the one play.
Yeah, Jerry Kill, it really, Kill and the OC brought with him, is that Tim Beck? They run a lot of tricky stuff, a lot of things. Look, I took away from this, to me, I think Diego Pavia is a warrior, and it looks like he's been through a war.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a little guy. He's probably 5'10", 210, kind of an odd-looking quarterback. Talks a lot of smack, gritty. He's not 100%. I mean, you could tell he's been beat up a little bit, and I think he didn't tap out. He was competing, but this LSU athleticism took its toll on him a little bit. But I thought they did a nice job of really eliminating a lot of the busts that they've had with these dual threat quarterbacks. It's, again, simplified things, step in the right direction.
And that's what this was. This was a stop the bleeding, step in the right direction. Pick whatever phrase you're most comfortable with. But for the last month and change, not much has gone LSU's way. They got beat up a lot, and the recruiting gut punch that they took on Thursday hurt as much as any of the losses. In fact, it hurt more than any of the losses. And I said in the pregame, look, this is where they need Brian Kelly to lead. He's got to get this team to play tonight. He's got to get them to play next week against Oklahoma. He's got to wrap his hands around this recruiting class with two hands and keep it together. Because if it's about the perception. The perception is Baton Rouge is on fire. LSU's on fire. And if you lose to Vanderbilt, all you do is fan the flames. Ooh. So you go out there and you get a win. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't fix everything. It doesn't get Underwood back into the fold. It doesn't get them to Atlanta. It doesn't get them in the playoffs. But it stops the avalanche, the snowball roll. Again, use whatever cliche or whatever you want. They needed this.
I agree 100%. And I mean, we can talk through the night. I'm sure we have calls and what have you that you want to get to. Yes, they have to stop the bleeding. But we sit here tonight, and what does Alabama game day sound like? What does Texas A&M game day sound like? What does Ole Miss game day, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't think Tiger fans want to hear it, nor do Rebel fans or Crimson Tide fans or whomever. This is a new SEC. I mean, Vanderbilt had 51 new players. I've never seen a Vanderbilt team. It's been a while that I thought there wasn't that drastic a talent difference. They were physical.
Yeah.
They were talking trash, and they were chippy. And I will say it, and we haven't done a lot of radio together. The great teams are no more. There are no more 12-0, 11-1 teams in this league. And the bad teams aren't as bad anymore. Not when you can go get – Vanderbilt's getting kids from New Mexico State. Not in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And so every week, anything's happening. And so, Tiger fans don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear 8-4. 8-4 is unacceptable here, but it's also unacceptable there and there and this place and this place. And I'm not making excuses, but it's a war each and every week out there.
We ran a stat at the end of pregame that if Vanderbilt had won tonight, they would have beaten Auburn, Alabama, and LSU in the same year. And I said to Musso, when's the last time that Vanderbilt has done that? I said probably never. But it didn't occur to me that in 30 years of divisional play where, there were 4 other teams playing those teams every single year, and some of those years Georgia was doing it and some of those years Florida was doing it, that it had only been done once in 30 years. Ole Miss pulled it off like 8 years ago to beat those 3 teams, and Vanderbilt, was a touchdown away from doing that. That's an idea about the new SEC. And when Texas quits getting the sweetheart of the schedule, they get that. And let me tell you something: they didn't knock Arkansas out. They didn't knock Kentucky out today until they didn't knock Vanderbilt out until the end. Their 10-1 is pretty shaky. I watched most of A&M and Auburn tonight. Auburn wins a wild game that goes 4 overtimes. I think Texas is running into a buzzsaw next week.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. I'm with you.
And Georgia has clinched their spot in the SEC championship
game.
So
who gets in? I don't even know.
Georgia's in against the winner of A&M and Texas.
Oh, so even with A&M losing, they can get themselves in.
If they win next week, they're in. The winner of that game is going to take on Georgia. What's really interesting is the playoff, because you got a whole slew of teams that accumulated their 3rd loss today. It's gonna be fun to watch. Plus, Indiana lost today. It's gonna be fun to watch. 499-9898 is the number to call on the LaBerge hotline. We'll take your calls. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
98.1.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day continues. LSU wins it by a score 24-17. 499-9898 is the number to call on the LaBerge hotline. Joel starts us off in New Mexico. Joel, welcome into the show.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Look, Michigan, they threw $12.5 million at Underwood to flip him. I'll put up the first $12.5 million to get rid of Kelly and his coaching staff because they ain't going to cut it moving forward. MAGA.
All right. You're about
Did he slip a MAGA in?
Yeah, that's every week. You're about $50 million short, give or take, on that. The numbers that are going around are crazy. We're 3 years deep into this NIL thing, and you've already got now an 8-figure quarterback who has not set foot on a college campus yet. And what can you say when Oracle gets involved and decides to start emptying their pockets? All you can do is all you can do. I do think though that first of all, Kelly's not going anywhere. Okay, and we've said this on the Daily Show, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the buyout at this point. Okay, if Brian Kelly's buyout, this may anger some people. I'm just going to tell you how it is. If Brian Kelly's buyout were zero, he's still safe, okay? This is 27-11 in 3 years and 16-7 in Southeastern Conference play, okay? So you win at a 70% clip in conference play in this conference. It's not a fireable offense. I get the last month has stunk, okay? Yeah. But let's be fair about this. He's not going anywhere. And I did look back, Gordy. This is on his lifetime record. The last 7 years he was at Notre Dame, or last 8 years he was at Notre Dame. 7 years they won double-digit games. The 2016 season they were 4-8. It's just this big, ugly splotch in the middle of the floor in his record. And I bring it up because it's hard to rebound from seasons like that. Now, this season's not going to be as bad as that one. But they came right back the next year and won 10, 11 games. So he knows how to manage these ebbs and flows that sometimes happen, or at least he has in the past.
Look, yeah, I don't disagree. And I go back to how we opened the show. At Ole Miss, they're having conversations about, can we get rid of Kiffin? How much to get rid of Kiffin? Fair? So, I mean, there's probably a little bit.
That, really?
I don't know. What about DeBoer? We know that's happening at Alabama, right?
Well, after tonight, yeah, for sure.
They're not about Elko, obviously, but go back to the following week. Who else lost? I will say this. I think the most important thing in this day and age in college football is continuity. Okay, continuity in meaning in investing in your roster, in the recruits, in your current roster. We've seen what's happened with the transfer portal. If you invest heavy in the transfer portal and you don't have the continuity and you're not keeping people, I think it's just harder. It's like you're starting from scratch. I'm tired of going out and watching LSU's first week of fall camp, and they're teaching kids how to play cover two. I mean, that's something you should have learned in high school. This is the elementary of it. And my whole point, whether it's Kelly or, whatever coach you want to go to, Auburn hasn't been the same since Malzahn. Okay?
Yeah.
And now we're in a time, and you have more parity, and if you're really going to blow things up, then you're blowing up the whole continuity. And I just let this year settle. I want to see a whole year, this new SEC, and we don't know what's going to happen next week. And I'm telling you that 10-2 is the new 12-0, and 7-5, 8-4 might be the next 9-3. And nobody wants to hear it, but that's the reality.
And if you go back again, let's be fair. Nobody's happy about the last month. Okay, least of all Brian Kelly. He's made some mistakes. He made some mistakes his first year. He's made some mistakes this year. He's not perfect, but there were 4 hires that were made that year. 4 blue bloods: USC, Oklahoma, LSU, Florida. He's got a better record than Lincoln Riley. He's got a better record than Brent Venables, and I know that Napier beat him last week, but he's got a better record than Billy Napier does. None of those guys are getting fired either. So be fair about it, okay? Just understand that starting over and going – and I'm not even going to get into who would you hire, just this idea that something different will be better. Not necessarily, okay? So give the guy a chance to right this. Because fire everybody, the first losing streak is not the way to go. Craig is in New Iberia. Craig, welcome to the show.
Yeah, it was a good game tonight. I enjoyed being in the stadium. Getting back on a winning track. The only thing, just in the back of your mind, you just keep thinking, with everything we had on the line, say last week against Florida. Kelly said that in his post-game conference that he simplified everything, simplified the offense a little bit. And, wasn't there something, and I'm not putting blame on Kelly. He's doing the best job he can. But with everything you had on the line against Florida, like, if you beat Florida, you're still in it. You still have a chance to go to the SEC championship. Why couldn't those adjustments that were made tonight that seemed to have worked really well because the defense was playing a lot better, offense played a lot better. You just noticed that everything was just, in sync. It looked like a good football team tonight. And people can say, well, yeah, that was just Vanderbilt, but this is also the Vanderbilt team that beat Alabama. This is the Vanderbilt team that took Texas to 3 points. So we played a good team tonight, and we really were in control of the game the whole time. So we played a good football team. We beat a good football team. The score should have been worse than what it was, and why we couldn't have made those adjustments or anything, say, the week before, for Florida, because everything was on the line against Florida. Now you're playing for nothing. Say nothing. You want to get a good bowl game. You want to end the year on a great note. But if we could have made those adjustments, say, last week when we were playing at Florida, and we beat Florida, well, you know what? Tonight's a whole different atmosphere. And that's all I kept thinking about today was, we were tailgating, having a great time, and Campos was kind of dead. And I just kept thinking, if we'd have beat Florida last week, what would this place be like tonight? So I might just hang up and listen to you guys.
Thank you, Craig. You want to? I got some thoughts, but go ahead.
A couple thoughts for me. I'll tell you one thing I've noticed, right? With all this parity now, home field advantage is so much more important these days. Look tonight, Oklahoma, Auburn, you go around the place, and I thought Tiger Stadium for what it was it electric? No, but fans stuck. It was a nice night. It was a nice crowd. I've seen worse in similar type of spots. So I think that's a part of it. And I think for me, the most disappointing thing from last week was that LSU did not match Florida's intensity. Florida came out and played like a desperate football team. The Lagway kid's going to be incredible. I talked to Rob Sale, was kind enough to give me a ride back to the alumni bus after, and he looked at me and I said that Lagway's, especially, he said he's a better kid off the field, and you could tell they played for him. And when that Tom Petty thing hit, the way that it charged Florida and we didn't match it was as disappointing as anything. You and I could sit here and talk offensively. Obviously, I think a new coordinator, I think finding his identity, and it's been, the evolution of it. My thing is more of red zone. We could do a segment on, but more in the direction, I think, of trying to match Nussmeier. At times, to me, it felt like it was too much in the last couple of weeks, right? And I think I've been specific with just too complex. Brian Kelly said that on his show, too much of the communication in his headset, and he they let him play football tonight, and he was slinging it, and that was the Garrett Nussmeier I'm used to seeing.
You talked about the home field advantage. I'm going to talk about something that goes hand in hand with that, and that's the inconsistent quarterback play in this league.
Mm-hmm.
Nussmeier threw 5 interceptions in the games against A&M and Alabama. Tonight, he threw none. It would be one thing if it was just him, but how about Jackson Dart, who we've seen have some excellent games, and faltered down the stretch on the road today in Florida through 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter. How about Jalen Milroe, who ran all over LSU 2 weeks ago? Tonight, threw 3 interceptions and ran for 12 yards against Oklahoma. And there was only 1 sack, so it's not like he piled up a bunch of yardage and had it, deducted because of the sack. They sacked him one time. He had 12 yards. On the other hand, Auburn, Peyton Thorne, who was part of that turnover machine most of the
been terrible
most of the first 2 months of the season, throws for over 300 last night. He did have 1 interception, but he threw 2 touchdowns. Jackson Arnold, who got benched at Oklahoma. Now, it was mostly on the ground tonight. He ran for 131 yards at home, okay? Lagway at home, and I agree with you. What a gutsy performance, because the kid's playing basically on one leg. Carson Beck, who will probably be a first-round pick, has been up and down. They had a run and win today. I'm not talking about today's game, but some of these other games where, big game against Tennessee, not, necessarily against Alabama. The home and away quarterback splits are so drastic this year. I don't know if it's a one-off or if it'll be this way again next year. But when you talk about that home field advantage, it's the quarterback play that stands out to me.
Yeah, and I'd go deeper into, Vanderbilt had 51 new players. All these rosters are turning over. And again, how many new people, I looked up at Florida when LSU had all the kids suspended, and I'm looking at, I got to pull up my flip chart to see that's Keys 42 that's playing the star. And you got 2 freshmen. You got what's his name? 19 Rayford out there. Rayford out there at defensive end. And you're taking true freshmen and put them in the game at the Swamp. And so all of that goes hand in hand. And it's just been interesting to watch this year. And I keep coming back to this. I want to digest the whole year of this. Because you look up and you have a day like today, it's normal Saturday shit. Ole Miss loses, Alabama loses. What is the Alabama show like?
Probably not real. Well, you know what they're going to say at the end of this season, because they're not going to make the playoff now with 3 losses. They're going to say that's the year you lost to Vanderbilt, and nobody's going to remember that Vanderbilt had a really good year. You missed the playoff, and you didn't score a touchdown for the first time in 13 years. That's what they're going to lead with, okay?
What's Oklahoma, 5-6?
6-5.
6-5. Okay.
6-5.
6. I mean, it's all new ball game.
That's what they're going to lead with. You lost to Vandy.
Yep.
You lost 3 games for the first time since 2010. You didn't score a touchdown for the first time since 2011, and because they were in driver's seat, for Atlanta.
No question.
And they go out there and got hammered by Oklahoma. 499-9898 is the number to call on the LeBarish hotline. We'll take a break. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
.1.
Eagle 98.1 game day continues. 499-9898 is the number to call. Tigers win at 24-17. Nick is in Baton Rouge on the LaBerge hotline. Nick, welcome into the show.
Yeah, so my question is, so Nuss is good, obviously, but next year, if Nuss comes back, if Nuss is the status quo, what he is currently, and then Nuss, and Collins, he gives you a little bit more. He can give you a little bit. He can run around. He can do what he is. And Sampson, he gives you a little bit more. Lacey's gone. Anderson might come back. He gives you in the slot. What do? Do you stick with Nuss? Or do you go with Collins? I'll hang up and listen.
You stick with Nussmeier. The luxury of having a fifth-year quarterback that's been in your building for all 5 of those years is a tremendous advantage. And I'll point to you the last 2, and I'm not saying Nussmeier's going to win the Heisman Trophy next year, but that difference between year 4 to year 5 for the last 2 guys that have come through here was drastic. You know, we were having this conversation on the Daily Show the other day, and Jimmy asked me, "What did you think of Burrow the first year? In 2018?" I said he was a little bit better than Danny Etling. Oh, wait a minute, no, he's Joe Burrow. He's not Danny. Go look at the numbers.
Yeah, the numbers.
Go look at numbers from 17 Etling to 18 Burrow were not that drastically different, but then Burrow made that jump. Go look at Jaden Daniels from 22 to 23, the jump that they make. I think if Nussmeier comes back, which I think is the best thing, as far as maximizing his draft stock, I think it'd be better for him, better for LSU, but he can do what he wants. It's his decision. But, man, that jump to the 5th year.
Yeah, he did. You could see, though, Burrow the last 3 games and then the bowl game, he was starting to come on.
Yes.
I think
Daniels, too.
Steve was figuring out what to do with him, and, of course, they brought Brady, and the rest is history. Nussmeier, there's still projections out there, first-round pick. I think he comes back. I think, from what I understand, I think he comes back. Look, I've heard a little bit, or believe it or not, I don't get to listen to 104.5 ESPN that much.
You should more. You should carve out time.
No, we just forward all the complaint calls of Moscona.
Right.
Look, I think you have a new coordinator. I think that again, finding an identity, what they want to do. I don't know how blunt you've been. You don't have a stretch receiver, which has been a huge part of that. And I think that especially the last 3 weeks, people have figured out. Going back to A&M and Alabama, when they put 6 up on the line of scrimmage, they had a linebacker that was shadowing a running back, and so they're bringing pressure with 7 and playing 0-man soft cushion 8 yards off, and you hadn't seen that in a while. And they're basically like, we're going to plant our feet and break up on you because you can't run by us. And I think. It's taken a little bit of an adjustment, and so I think that obviously I have a higher opinion of Nussmeier maybe than our fan base. I mean, he can make all the throws. I think there's some things they've got to address for next year. You need some new linemen. You're going to have to find somebody to stretch the field because I can't remember recent LSU history. You hadn't been able to get a vertical stretch, right? Can Hilton be that guy? Where I'm interested, where's Sampson? I've only seen parts of him. I saw him do it in high school. They got to figure out who's going to stretch the field vertically. But I hopefully Nussmeier comes back. Absolutely starts.
I understand the caller's frustration about the Nussmeier does not provide you a running component, and we're seeing how important that is.
And I'm with you. The game's
football.
gone that way. Yeah. I'm with you, right?
So I get it, but you're going to have to complement your running game some other way.
I'm not going to punt on him and bring in somebody and go through a learning curve that everybody else has done.
I agree with you on the receiver. I'll double down here. Your biggest transfer portal need to me is along the offensive line. You can't go out there with 4 new guys with precious little experience, although Mobenga has at least played now in 3 or 4 games, but it's rough. Okay, the center, it's been rough, and if you add 3 more new pieces to that, it's going to be too rough. You got to go out there and you got to go find you. They don't have to be superstars, but they got to be solid guys. I remember when Sean Payton got to the Saints, he looked around and goes, man, I don't have a professional linebacker on this team. And he went and traded for 3. None of them were superstars, but they were all really good players. He's got to go find 2, maybe even 3 veteran offensive linemen that have started in a Power 5 league, and he's got to bring them in and mix the freshmen and the young players in there. That gives Nussmeier a fighting chance next year.
Right.
If he comes back. If he doesn't come back, then you got to go get a quarterback in the portal.
I think we'll see.
I think you got to go get a quarterback in the portal anyway. But what type of quarterback is going to depend on what Nussmeier Nussmeier does. And Nussmeier has this advantage. His father's a quarterbacks coach in the NFL now. He's coached at multiple spots in the NFL. He knows he'll give his son a straight shot. He'll tell him exactly what he thinks. He obviously wants his son to succeed. He'll give him an honest opinion. You don't have to worry about an agent getting in Nussmeier's ear and filling him with a bunch of false information. His dad's going to shoot him straight. His dad's been a coordinator at Alabama, at Florida, at Michigan. He's been a quarterbacks coach with the Chargers, with the Rams, now with the Eagles. He's played in Canada. He played in the NFL. I mean, Doug Nussmeier knows the score, man. And he's going to tell his son what the best thing is for him.
And again, this is another uncommon offseason, right? I mean, we're still learning who's leaving, who's coming in. I mean, I'd certainly want to have that sort of conversation with LSU if I was Doug.
I'm certain that he will, yeah.
What we doing here?
Back to my lineman.
What do we do?
Go find me some.
What are we doing here? If we're coming back,
give me some big uglies.
That's as big a consideration as going out. But I obviously I feel differently than the caller.
And if he does go pro, God bless. I do think he would probably get into the first round based on the potential. The number of starts you make at the college level, man. You look at the Brock Purdy's and the Jalen Hurt's and Jaden Daniels and how many starts those guys have had.
No doubt.
Bo Nix, these are 35, 40, 45, 50 starts. It's a big deal, man.
Right.
Nuss will be in better shape if he does that. But if he does decide to go pro, that's his call. Glenn is in Baton Rouge on the LeBear's Hotline. Glenn, welcome into the show.
Tommy, that's my first would be, do you think possibly that it's not his fault, and obviously he's been an outstanding Hall of Fame level coach? Is there a possibility that due to the age and generation that perhaps Kelly, isn't able to connect with the modern player quite as well as maybe younger coaches, and maybe we're seeing some of that? The other question I want to ask is, what if when Kelly took over, what if he had reversed his records? Let's say he was having this year in his first season. Nobody probably would have been that critical because, he inherited, 35 or 40 players in a program in somewhat disarray. And then let's say the second year he has maybe even a similar year to last year, and then this year would be the year he breaks through and beats Alabama and goes to the SEC championship game, regardless of, whether he gets to the playoffs or not. Sometimes timing is everything. So could something like that sort of play in? And it's just like everybody thinks growth is just going to be a linear thing instead of, some stops and starts. And, you got to, it's not all going to be perfect. You got to get all the pieces in place and then, go from there. So I'd like your comments on that.
There's no question they exceeded expectations in the first year, and they did not meet expectations this year. And last year was kind of in the middle. Last year was a greatly unbalanced year. You exceeded every expectation on one side of the ball and didn't come close on the other side. So it was a little bit of a weird year. Yeah, he would probably be in a more enviable position had, you reverse the order of all this.
Yeah, and agree to me, I think you'd probably agree too. This year is a lot more different than those other 2 years. This SEC, this league, now that we've got a mature transfer portal, you got these two teams. To me, it's just a lot more parity this year than those two.
The age, I think that's an individual thing. How you get along with players. We've seen a number of veteran coaches bail on this system. Hey, I've made my money. I've in a lot of cases I got my rings, and you know what? I don't want to deal with recruiting a kid for 300 plus days and then having the founder of Oracle just, show up and, erase a year's, 2-3 years worth of work, whatever they've been on Underwood, or at any point, any kid can walk into my office and say, see you later, somebody. And if, we've seen it in all of the sports, football, baseball, basketball, guys just say, you know what, thanks, but no thanks. I've been doing it a certain way my entire career, and I don't want to do this. Kelly hasn't. So I can't tell you that there's not a disconnect at times with players. Everybody's going through that, but I don't think he's too old to coach. I know he's not too old to coach. I'm watching. Kurt Signetti is going to win National Coach of the Year in a walk at Indiana. He and Kelly are the same age, and he's in his first year at Indiana. So I don't think that 63 is, the game has passed you by or anything like that. But you got to want it. Yeah, you got to work it. This is a much tougher job now than it was 10 years ago.
There's no question. You're sitting here trying to close out the season. You've got National Signing Day coming up on you. You have, obviously, the money that all these SEC schools are going to have next year. He's got Austin Thomas now as a GM, basically, who's running the back office of this thing while you're still playing football. And it's a much different job. Look, Ivan, when I don't care how old you are, when you lose in football games, there's disconnect and some of that. And, tonight was good to see the team rebound from the Florida thing after everything that's happened. And this week, and of course they read social media, they know about Underwood, and for them to come out and play a little bit tonight, that was a good thing.
The job never ends now.
No,
not that it ended before because you were recruiting, but what it is now. You ever heard the saying that from the day a candidate is elected, to say Congress, they've got to raise a certain amount of money every day, whatever that number is, depending on your district, to get reelected.
Yeah. Oh,
That's what college football is now. I don't know what the number is, but there's a certain amount of funds you have to raise every day to make sure that next year's roster is as good or better than this year's roster. And if you fall short on the money, you're probably going to fall short on the roster. And if you don't raise your campaign funds, you're probably not going to get reelected. And it never stops. No number is big enough. No number's big enough.
So SEC 16 teams, right now?
Yeah.
State's not going to a bowl. Kentucky can't get to a bowl. Auburn's got to beat Alabama to go. 13 teams going to a bowl game.
Yeah.
And that's, I think what I'm getting at here, and then you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4. They're you've got 10 teams that are going to be 8-4, can be 8-4 in that ballpark range.
By the way, I've been meaning to talk to you about the bowl game. There's some scheduling preferences that I have for the.
You've looked. I haven't looked yet. Please tell me.
Well, I haven't looked hard yet, but
I don't even know what the possibilities are.
And I don't even have to travel. I assume we're not traveling.
Are you talking about doing Postgame?
Yeah.
You don't want to go to the Music City Bowl? We could set you up in Gaylord Center. What is that? Opryland? You can do it with Shrek. Shrek, and Dixon.
Let's just say 2 in the morning on a Tuesday night is not what I've got in.
I haven't looked at the schedule. I haven't seen the projections.
499-9890. They change every week. 9898 is the number to call on the LeBarish hotline. We'll take a break. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
98.1.
Eagle 98.1 game day continues. LSU wins at 24-17 over Vanderbilt. LeBear's hotline is 499-9898 is the number. Jacob is in Lafayette. Jacob, welcome into the show.
Hey guys, hey Gordy, nice to have you back for a night, man.
Hey, I'm glad to be back. I told Charlie one night. What is Dixon does a hunting trip every year?
Yeah,
Is that what this is?
Takes his kids. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good for one home game, preferably like
one night only.
One night only. Yeah.
Yeah, I still miss that weeknight show after the coaches show on Wednesday.
Tiger Zone, man.
Tiger Zone. Wow.
Yeah,
I don't.
That.
I'm getting home at 11 o'clock. It's late night on a Wednesday for me.
Well, I'm just calling to complain about the Bryce Underwood situation. I want your thoughts on where do you see the NIL in 5 years? I mean, it's escalated so quickly so far, and I wonder what your thoughts are on if the genie can be put back in the bottle, so to speak, to some extent, and if you think National Signing Day won't even be something of the future, if they can just sign then and there when something's offered. So I want your thoughts on that, and I'll hang up and listen. Thank you, guys.
So this is the question everybody's been asking since NIL started. What I think is going to happen is that you will have some kind of NIL's not going away. That's
No.
not going to happen. But what I do think is that you will have some kind of regulatory boundaries within the next 5 years. If you follow Ross Dellinger, who writes for Yahoo now, he's done an excellent job at wading through the legislative portions of this, and I'm not going to get too deep into it this late at night, but suffice to say that Ted Cruz is going to head this up, the senator from Texas, and they want to move in that direction, okay? Are these players going to be employees? Is there going to be some kind of cap? You've heard Nick Saban talk about this on game day. I think we're going to get there eventually to where there are some kind of regulations. It won't be NCAA regulations. It'll be more legal regulations. I think you're probably at least 2 years away from that, probably a little bit more. But I think 5 years is a reasonable you will have some kind of regulations. How we get there and what they look like, I would be nothing more than just
I
speculating.
agree. Tuberville was leading that charge,
Yeah.
and they ran on to the election year, and it all kind of shut down. But it's not sustainable, and I think they've got to put the regulations on. And you talk about look, you're going to pay the players, and I agree that's coming up next year. And it's just how do you get to a situation with Oracle, with Nike's, it's happening with Knight in Oregon. I mean, is that sustainable at those places?
You know who didn't want Bryce Underwood to get $12 million? LSU. You know who else didn't want him to get $12 million? Michigan.
Yeah.
They probably didn't want to make that phone call. They probably felt like they had to make that phone
Which
call.
brings up a fabulous discussion. What's the rest of the roster look like? I mean, how much more you got to pay? What about the people? I go back to my comment about continuity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Investing in your team, and we keep talking about it. Just tell me about the Ole Miss. What's the Ole Miss game day going like that? Going tonight with everything that they paid to they're 8-3 now, right?
Correct.
Play the Egg Bowl and State. State should beat State, but you never know.
And the NFL got to a point where they finally had enough of the rookies making more than the guys that have been in the league for 10 years. And so they put a rookie cap in. I think eventually you'll see, as a part of these regulations, the idea that high school seniors are not making more than college seniors, at least in general. The last thing they want is just to get into a total bidding war over every quarterback that comes out of high school. Underwood is, a phenomenal talent, but he's not set foot on a college campus yet, and he's got 8 figures.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Darryl is in Lafayette. Darryl, welcome into the show.
Thank you for taking my call. My question is number 28, Caleb Jackson. Why is he not getting any attempts at all? And if Nuss decides to transfer, what quarterback possibly that'll hit the portal will LSU go after? Like, I know a passing quarterback, or does Kelly want a running quarterback like Daniels from last year? That's the question. I'll listen.
If there's another Daniels, by all means, go get him. I'll let you handle the Caleb Jackson question.
Well, the other two have been better, and I think that he still learned. He still had his struggles in pass protection early in the season. We haven't seen much of him. But the other two have been better, and obviously Durham is that guy, and he's fighting off the toe injury, and he's not at 100% right now. And those are my thoughts.
As for I don't know if you meant to say Nussmeier transfers or go pro. I would be shocked if he transferred.
No, he's not.
If he's going to play college football next year, it's going to be here. But I do think there's a pretty good chance that LSU is going to be in the portal for a quarterback. Regardless, they thought that they were going to have Underwood on next year's team. Now they're not going to have him, and you can't go out and recruiting right now and get anybody close to that. I mean, DeHay's pretty much in the barn 7 days a week from Wednesday.
You say that, but I haven't followed it, but who knows? I mean,
well,
it's unlikely, but
yeah,
yes.
I would call it unlikely. So you've got a hole in the two deeps here that you need to fill, and I would guess that it's going to be in the transfer portal. Who's going to be, available? I don't know. I have no idea. I could tell you some of the guys that I'd like, but I don't know if they're going to be available. 499-9898 is the number to call. Scott is in Dulac. Scott, welcome into the show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Y'all covered everything with the quarterback and everything. I think Nussmeier is the way to go. But the only comment I got, I know, Gordy, you were down there, it was embarrassing after the first play with Fire Kelly. I know it was most of the student section. You can't do nothing about it. I'm just voicing my opinion. I was embarrassed as a fan. I support the team. And they booed Nussmeier when they did the player lineup. So, I know it's disappointing, but it's still 7 wins with a chance to win 9. So I think they need to stop that a little bit. We're not going to stop the student section, but I just wanted to voice my opinion on that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, look, we were having problems with me getting clear audio tonight in the first quarter, so I had both earplugs in, so I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear that.
Somebody sent it to me.
I didn't hear it.
They got into they got into a chant about Fire Kelly. Look, the students are what they are. When I was in school, they booed Tommy Hodson, which royally pissed me off. So I've seen them boo some of the greatest players to come through here, and all of the coaches at some point or another. I wish they wouldn't, and I appreciate your opinion. I agree with you, but que sera. Jules is in Abbeville. Jules, welcome into the show.
Hey, good evening, Charlie.
Good evening.
First time speaking to you, Gordy. Nice to have you on the show. And I'm going to go off the beaten path with the calls. And I've never been a Penn State fan. I do like Indiana. I can actually remember watching them play in the Rose Bowl. I think it was in '67. They had a guy named Eisenbarger do everything running back. But what is y'all's opinion on those two teams? I know that the record looks good with just the one loss, but where would you kind of slot them in the SEC, Indiana and Penn State? And I'm just going to hang up and listen, Charles.
Thank you, Jules. Whose schedule do they get? Do they get Georgia's schedule where they got to go to Ole Miss, Alabama, and Texas, or do they get Texas's schedule? It's a big, big difference. Texas and Penn State and Indiana all have something in common. Their one loss is to what we perceive as a really good team, Ohio State for the two Big Ten schools and Georgia for the Texas. But tell me what their best win is. For Penn State, it's probably, I think, a 7-win Illinois team. For Indiana, I think it's a 6-win Nebraska team. Nebraska got bowl eligible today for the first time since 2016.
That's my boy Holgerson.
Yeah.
He's drinking Red Bull in Lincoln, baby.
They scored a bunch of points today. But that's probably their best win. What's Texas's best win, Gordy?
Vandy?
Yeah.
No kidding.
I mean, now it's not their fault that Michigan ended up not. they scheduled Michigan, several years ago. They didn't know Michigan wasn't going to be good this year. They didn't know when they played Florida that Florida was going to have a third-string walk-on quarterback forced into action. They didn't know that Oklahoma was going to be in a quarterback, transition at that time. But Texas's schedule is lousy.
Look, I think they're both 7-5 teams in the SEC, and I think South Carolina's 9-2 team in the Big Ten.
I can't tell you that they're 7-5 teams. If they Georgia's schedule again,
if they get a middle. I think they get a middle of the road. They get a middle of the road schedule 8-4-7. I mean, I think Penn State's 8-4-7-5. Give me a little bit more sample on Indiana, right? I mean, it's hard for me to get excited when they got to come from behind. They beat Smith and that just came over from Oregon State to Michigan State. I haven't seen enough Big Ten football. I know Purdue's not good.
Boy, Indiana got off to such a good start today. They took the first drive. They go 70 yards. They score a touchdown. They get a goal line stand at the 2 to get Ohio State off the field. And after that, it just the roof fell in on them. They had a couple of special teams breakdowns, and that was that. But I think they did enough to keep themselves in the playoff. I didn't think that they could go up there and get beat 51-3 and hold on to it. And I said that before this flood of 3-loss teams out of the SEC. Yeah. If the SEC is going to get a 4th team into the playoff now, it's going to have to be a 3-loss team. And you know which one they're going to pick. The Crimson thing over there. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. A second team out of the ACC could happen.
Yeah.
SMU clinched a spot in the title game today. You could have a 2-loss Clemson with one of those losses to Georgia. All of a sudden it's back in the picture now.
Look, more than ever. I mean, this SEC is a gauntlet.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Where's the easy out?
You don't have the
Vandy used to be
of another conference.
Vandy used to be the easy out. Where's the easy out? Where's the easy
game? Let me
game?
tell you what. I was blown away. The kid from Mississippi State. The quarterback from Mississippi State can throw the football.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I know they're two. They go 2-9, 2-10. But I mean, you give them a year or two, State's going to be. Levy's going to sling the ball around. They're going to be good on offense.
You can change the dynamic of your team a great deal.
Van Buren, there we go.
Yeah,
that's the kid's name.
What Indiana did last year is compared to this year. What SMU did last year is compared to this year. What BYU did compared. Arizona State, watch them today. Have you seen them play?
I know they've done better.
Scatterboo reminds me a great deal of Jacob Hester.
Yeah.
When he was playing here, and they won. Today. You can change the Colorado. Okay, I know they lost today, but greatly different season than what they had a year ago. You used to be able to carry over 65% of your team from year to year. That ain't necessarily the case anymore.
To me, the strength of the SEC is still the physicality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the what you can say about Florida, they were physical. I mean, Texas A&M is back to the combination of Elko and Moffitt together. Physical. They're coming off the line. And, you're getting that each and every week. And that's, I think, what Vanderbilt – I come back to Pavia. I saw that film. I saw the Alabama game. We were open that weekend, and I went back and looked at the film. The guy was beat up tonight.
Yeah. 499-9898 is the number to call on the LaBerge hotline. We're brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. Thanksgiving coming up this Thursday. Whatever you're making with rice, make it with Supreme Rice. Try the new parboiled rice. Extremely clean and very, very firm. But the closest thing you're going to get to restaurant quality rice, you can get it in your home. Pick up Supreme Rice at all of your Rouses, your Walmarts, wherever you buy rice. Make sure it's Supreme Rice. And support our Louisiana farmers down in Southwest Louisiana since the 1930s. You're going to get more for your money. So whatever you're making this Thanksgiving or for tailgating for the final home game next week, make it with Supreme Rice. Part of the Climate Smart program, ensuring that future generations of Louisiana farmers are able to continue with the same benefits as the current generation. They're promoting methane emissions reductions and water conservation. For more information and great recipes, go to the website at supremerice.com. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12681, offices in Baton Rouge. Eagle 98.1, WDGL and AC1 Baton Rouge.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
.1.
Eagle 98.1 game day continues. LSU wins at 24-17. 499-9898 is the number to call on the LaBerge hotline. Bill is in Hammond. Bill, welcome into the show.
Hello, guys. Good to hear Gordy back. Don't take this the wrong way, Charlie, but because I love you and Richard. But anytime I know there's a rush doing talk radio, I'm listening.
I've been waiting all week. We set this up on Monday, so it's great. Back to the future.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad it came true for you. So 2 things about the NIL, and I wasn't going to talk about this originally, but you brought it up. In 5 years, we'll have it settled and figured out.
That's a guess.
Yeah, and it reminds me of building a multi-million-dollar sport, and then saying after it opens, "Oh, we need a egress or an ingress from the interstate." We forgot about that, so they just it was all started incorrectly. They had nothing planned, and they just threw it out there and just said, "Let's see what happens." And now we all suffering with it. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk about was I know we get, at least I do get frustrated with Nuss not running, and I've learned to get over that over the last 6 or 7 games. But, and I admit this every time I call, that I'm not that astute at football. But why does it look like they keep trying to make it seem like they're doing an RPO when they have no intention of doing an RPO? Why don't you just do a regular play action, or don't even do that? And they have to have an offensive coordinator that can figure out something more creative to do than fake an RPO when you're not really going to do an RPO. I don't know. It's just frustrating. Anyway, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Bill.
Look, yeah, it's a good point. And you know, some of the zone, I think in particular, zone reads.
Yeah.
Right. And you have
less of that tonight.
Yeah. And you've seen more pistol. You know, they brought the pistol out against Florida. Saw a lot in the first half. You saw a lot of pistol, and they kind of went away from it. Went more some of that stuff. You know, I think if you're gonna run the RPO, the slants and the things off of it, there's a package that's there. But I'm glad I think he was talking about the zone read stuff. And I'm with you. If he's not going to run, he's not a threat to run, then your success rate is going to be limited in that. And so I'll go back. I just remember seeing a lot of pistol, and I thought it was successful. It was successful at Florida. It was a wrinkle. So yeah, it was Florida that they brought it back in, and for whatever reason, they went away. Again, I think they're trying to figure out who they want to be. This was a step in the right direction, and I still go back. My big, balance for you, yes. Rhythm for me. They were in a rhythm a little bit today.
One of the things that we found with the film study, Handycast on YouTube, Richard Dixon and I break the film down he breaks the film down and I ask questions on Monday nights, and you can go back and look at some of the prior episodes. It's a lot more effective running out of the pistol when they're able to do some motion out of it. And some of the things that have been curtailed have been because they haven't had time. The play gets in a little bit late.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have time to do the motion, and the play does it. The play against Alabama, okay, Durham's first run was 45 yards.
Right.
And they ran that. They ran the motion. They got the linebacker out of the box. Well, they run it again. There was why didn't you go back to that? Well, they did. They went back to it at the end of the first quarter, and they didn't run it with a motion, and they had the linebacker never motioned out to the outside like he had the first time, and 4 guys are pointing where the ball's about to go. So, the timing of it matters.
Yeah, no, the timing of it matters, and we could stay here and do a show and get through the offense, and again, I think it's been a work in progress and some of the involvement. I could sit here and tell you about Trudez Green right now is not polished enough to me, he's a 50-50 ball, right? We're going to throw some to the corner. We're going to do that. Tonight he struggled to get off the jam. And rounded off, didn't really get separation on that back.
That rounded route makes him so easy to guard.
He's a freshman, and he was with Brewerton for a year up there, and it was such a physical mismatch up there. It takes time to be able to get off the jam and some of that stuff, and so.
But stick a foot in the ground,
right,
and make a cut. Don't just round this thing off to where you make yourself very easy to guard.
If I'm going to run a slant, I'm going to run Lacey. Lacey or Daniel's a big physical. They know how to use their body, and that's just my critique. But point taken. Like I lost my place. Go ahead.
Okay.
It's tired. 12:50.
Yeah. Nick is in Chalmette. Nick, welcome into the show.
All right. Thank y'all. All right. So out of everything else said, I don't know how to really word this, but so out of everything else said, there's a lot of wide receivers that I'm assuming is going to be attrition. We're going to see Kyron Lacey gone. I'm assuming Aaron Anderson is going to leave because
I I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
No.
So let's assume he's the number one next year. And we got Nussmeier back. And then what's going to be the play? Like we have Nuss as the quarterback. We have Aaron Anderson as the number one, possibly. Who is the wide receivers? Mason Taylor is going to be gone because he's a great tight end. He's going to go to the draft. He's going to be a first or second round pick. So,
he won't be a first round pick. He'll be a second day pick, I think.
Okay.
Where he is. And let's go back and let me correct you. So Anderson's a slot.
Well,
he's a slot, right? You need to
regardless. Mason, he's going to get drafted, so you're not going to have him on the roster,
right?
So you're going to have Anderson as your number one on the roster. So Sampson has not proven to be a viable option. Who is going to be your other wide receivers besides for Anderson? And that's my worry with next year is Nuss. He's coming back. Hopefully he responds to seeing how he throws for a lot of damaging spots as what he's been doing in the last 3 games. So who is going to be his options next year is, I guess, what I'm trying to get to.
I see where you're coming. Okay. First of all, you're going to get Trey Parker back, who was starting to play a little bit when he got hurt. You got 3 receivers in the recruiting class right now. I think you're probably going to lose Meadows, the kid from Las Vegas, because he's originally from Michigan. I think he's going to probably end up there. But you'll have the other 2. And then there's a transfer portal. And I think that's a big piece. I don't know that your number one receiver on next year's team is on the roster right now, Gordy.
Yeah, look, and I go back to they need a speed guy. And so, you know, I thought towards the end of last year and in the spring, Chris Hilton made some steps, right? And he had a catch a night, but he you know, last week on those 3 big balls didn't, you know, it didn't equate. And so I've been reading off Chris Hilton. I want to see more Chris Hilton out there. He can do the speed part, right? I haven't seen enough of Sampson to understand what's going on there.
If he's not getting on the field, there's got to be a reason.
Look, they need somebody to take the top off. They need more than one person to be able to take the top off. And the only guy that's been consistent this season's been Anderson, right? So you get your existing roster, and you can go deeper into that. And so you have some good players there. You've got some freshmen that they redshirted that showed some promise in fall camp. And yeah, if you don't have it, I understand where you're coming from. If it's not the freshman, then the redshirt freshman, and then you go to the portal if you need be. So, but I mean, at least I have more of an idea what you got on the roster than I haven't seen the offensive lineman yet.
And you still got Xavier Thomas, who may develop a little bit, but the guy I would like to see run 4,000 routes a month in the offseason is Green, because he's got special talent. He's got a body that doesn't come along all that often, and he can't run a route right now, and he's not as physical. I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this. He's not as physical. He's starting to get lit up on the kickoff. Okay, he was a basketball player. He's not the most physical guy. He gonna have to grow into that a little bit.
To the caller's point, there's a lot of questions.
Yeah,
right. And the same thing. There are a lot of questions. No doubt.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Last games of the night are wrapping up. We'll get a stat check. We'll do some game balls. That's next here. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Stat Check. Presented by Luba Workers Comp. Luba Workers Comp. Delivering genuine dependability.
We'll give you a better idea of why we thought this could have been more than a touchdown victory for LSU. But at this point, you take a win and get on down the road, given how things have been going the last month. LSU 27 first downs to 13 for Vanderbilt. Total yards 471 for the Tigers, 308 for the Commodores. 332 through the air for LSU, 186 through the air for Vandy. 139 on the ground for the Tigers, 122 for the Commodores. Third down efficiency, LSU, another good night there, 8 out of 13. They got to be very close to the national top 10 in third down conversion just on the ground they made up the last 2 weeks. 1 out of 2 on fourth downs. Vanderbilt, 2 of 10 on third down. They were 2 of 3 on fourth down. Each team had 3 penalties, 15 yards for Vandy and 25 yards for LSU, so the officials stayed out of the way tonight. Neither team turned the ball over. Time of possession favored LSU 34-43 to 25-17. Individually, Garrett Nussmeier, 28 of 37, 332 yards, a touchdown and no picks. Diego Pavia, 13 of 24, 186, a touchdown and no picks. Josh Williams and Caden Durham both had 14 carries tonight for LSU. Williams with 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. Durham with 58 yards. Diego Pavia led Vanderbilt in rushing with 9 carries for 43 yards and a touchdown, a long of 36. Other than that, he really didn't hurt him with his legs. LSU receiving, Kyron Lacey and Aaron Anderson both had 6 catches, 85 yards for Lacey, 65 yards for Anderson, a touchdown for Lacey. Josh Williams added 4 catches for 61 yards. C.J. Daniels, 4 catches for 56 yards, and Mason Taylor, 3 for 40. Quincy Skinner, 3 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown for Vanderbilt. He caught that 63-yard touchdown pass to open the game for Vanderbilt. Defensively, Whit Weeks led the way for LSU with 7 tackles, 5 solos. Devon Keys had 5 tackles tonight. Jordan Gilbert, Ashton Stamps, West Weeks, and Braden Swinson all with 4 tackles. Langston Patterson with 13 total tackles tonight, including 6 solos for Vanderbilt. And Randon Fontenette with 10 tackles as well. He had 6.5 a tackle for a loss. Vanderbilt with 1 sack on the night. LSU had a sack on the night. It was split up between Swinson and Sean Washington. Punting tonight, Blake Oschendorf, 2 punts for an average of 37 yards. And Jesse Micro, 4 punts for an average of 51.8 yards, and 2 of them inside the 20 for Vanderbilt. And that is your stat check here tonight. Our college football scoreboard is now complete. Everything has gone, well, I said that. 3 minutes to go at Fresno. Maybe final by the time we get back from the break. We'll do that when we return. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
98.1. The Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln College Football Scoreboard. Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln on airline under the giant American flag.
They're trying to run the clock out at Fresno. They lead 28-14 over Colorado State under 2 minutes to go. Bulldogs have the football. That's the only game that is still left going at this time, at this late hour. Everything else is going final. Here's the day in college football. Number 2, Ohio State gave Indiana, ranked 5th in the nation, their first loss, 38-15. Will Howard threw a couple of touchdown passes. Ohio State had a punt return for a touchdown. They also cashed in when Indiana's punter dropped the ball inside the 5-yard line. They gave them another point-blank score. Number 3, Texas beat Kentucky 31-14. Quinn Ewers, who went through senior day festivities today, though he is not a senior but headed towards the NFL draft, threw a couple of touchdown passes for the Longhorns. We'll tell you here in a second about what the SEC championship title picture looks like. Number 4, Penn State hung on to beat Minnesota 26-25. Drew Allure threw for 244 yards and a touchdown. Number 6, Notre Dame handed number 19 Army their first loss, 49-14. Riley Leonard threw a couple of touchdown passes for the Irish, who have handled both service academies and handed both of them their first loss by lopsided margins. Upset in Norman as Oklahoma, a 2-touchdown underdog, beat number 7 Alabama 24-3. They intercepted Jalen Milroe 3 times. Jackson Arnold, the starting quarterback for Oklahoma, ran for 131 yards. First time Alabama has been held without a touchdown since the big matchup with LSU back in 2011. Number 8, Miami beat Wake Forest 42-14. They win next week, and they are in the ACC title game. Florida upsets number 9 Ole Miss 24-17. Jackson Dart, a couple of fourth-quarter interceptions that sealed Ole Miss's fate. Number 10 Georgia beat UMass today 59-21 behind 4 touchdown passes from Carson Beck. Because of all those other scores that we just gave you, the Bulldogs have clinched a spot in the SEC championship game. They will play the winner of Texas and Texas A&M. But Texas A&M got their third loss of the day. Auburn beat them 43-41 in 4 overtimes. Peyton Thorne threw for 301 yards and 2 touchdowns for Auburn. Number 11, Tennessee beat UTEP 56-0. It was number 12, Boise State, surviving a trip to Laramie. They beat Wyoming 17-13. Ashton Jenney ran for 169 yards and a touchdown. Number 13, SMU, their first year in the ACC. They clinch a spot today in the ACC championship game. They beat Virginia 33-7. Kevin Jennings threw for 323 yards and 2 touchdowns. Number 21, Arizona State beat number 14, BYU 28-23. Cam Scatterbo ran for 147 yards and 3 touchdowns. Bizarre scene in Tempe as Arizona State, trying to run out the clock, threw up a kind of a lollipop throw, hoping it would stay in the air long enough that the clock would expire. Well, it did, except that after the field was rushed, the officials went back and decided there should be 1 second left on the clock. Took them over 20 minutes to clear everybody out on the field for BYU to throw the Hail Mary. They completed it, but got tackled at the 3-yard line. Kansas beat number 16 Colorado 37-21, despite 3 touchdown passes from Shadur Sanders. 4-way logjam at the top of the Big 12. I ain't going through the tiebreakers. It's too late. Number 17, Clemson beat the Citadel 51-14. Number 18, South Carolina beat Wofford 56-12. Number 22, Iowa State beat Utah 31-28. Iowa State is one of those 2-loss teams in contention for the Big 12 title game. Number 23, Missouri beat Mississippi State 39-20. Brady Cook threw for 268 yards and a touchdown. Number 25, Illinois goes to 8-3. They beat Rutgers 38-31. Iowa beat Maryland 29-13. It was Syracuse over UConn 31-24. Boston College got bowl eligible. They beat North Carolina 41-21. Jacksonville State over Sam Houston 21-11. Liberty goes to 8-2. They beat Western Kentucky 38-21. Florida State won for the first time since September. They beat Charleston Southern 41-7. Bowling Green beat Ball State 38-13. It was UAB over Rice 40-14. New Mexico State beat Middle Tennessee 36-21. App State over James Madison 34-20. TCU beat Arizona 49-28. It was Kennesaw State with their second win of the season. Nipped Florida International 27-26. Arkansas State beat UL Monroe 28-21. South Alabama beat Southern Miss 35-14. Southern Miss kicker hit a 60-yard field goal right before the halftime clock expired. Second longest field goal in Southern Miss history, the 61-yarder from Ray Guy, who hit it against, I think it was Utah, might have been Southern Utah back in 1971. Charlotte beat Florida Atlantic 39-27. Somebody sent me that. I didn't just know that, okay? A friend of mine at Southern Miss sent me that stat. Michigan beat Northwestern 50-6. It was Nebraska getting bowl eligible for the first time since 2016. They beat Wisconsin 44-25. Cal beat Stanford in the big game 24-21, also an ACC game. Texas Tech beat Oklahoma State 56-48. Oklahoma State 0-8 in Big 12 play. They finished with Colorado. West Virginia beat UCF 31-21 to get bowl eligible. Utah State beat San Diego State 41-20. Georgia Southern beat Coastal Carolina 26-6. East Carolina over North Texas 40-28. South Florida got bowl eligible. They beat Tulsa 63-30. Arkansas got bowl eligible. They beat Louisiana Tech 35-14. Louisville beat Pittsburgh 37-9. Pittsburgh started the season 7-0. They've now lost 4 straight. UL Lafayette goes to 6-1 in the Sun Belt. They beat Troy 51-30. It was Oregon State over Washington State 41-38 in what's left of the Pac-12. Baylor doubled up Houston 20-10. Georgia State over Texas State 52-42. Marshall beat Old Dominion 42-35. It was Duke with a 31-28 win over Virginia Tech. They go to 8-3. Rumors continue to swirl around Brent Pry's future at Virginia Tech. Kansas State beat Cincinnati 41-15. It was USC with a late score, 10 points in the fourth quarter, to beat UCLA 19-13 and get bowl eligible. And Air Force beat Nevada 22-19, and that is your college football scoreboard. Game balls are next. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Game Balls. Presented by WCK Foundation Repair. WCK Foundation Repair. Support your home team. WCK Foundation Repair.
In the interest of the balance that LSU achieved offensively tonight, we'll give it to Josh Williams, the senior. 14 carries for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also caught 4 passes tonight for 61 yards. So Josh Williams gets a game ball tonight. Defensively, Devon Keys, second leading tackler for LSU tonight. He had 5 total tackles. He started to step into a bigger role here as the season wears on. So we give him a game ball here tonight, 1 on offense, 1 on defense tonight in LSU's 24-17 victory over Vanderbilt. We're back to wrap it up after this. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Brandon Holly here. Siding, windows, even doors. ReliefWindows.com.
Eagle 98.1 WDGL and HD1 Baton Rouge.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
.1.
All right, wrapping things up here. LSU with the much-needed victory against Vanderbilt tonight. Let me set the schedule for you. Tomorrow, Football Sunday from the Queen on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge starts at 10 a.m. Recap the day in college football. Get you ready for NFL action tomorrow. No Saints tomorrow. They are off for the weekend. The final Brian Kelly press conference of the regular season is a part of Live at Lunch on Monday at 11:40. Final coaches show of the regular season on Thursday night from TJ Ribbs. Regular season finale against Oklahoma, the soonest first ever trip into Tiger Stadium. Next Saturday night at 6 o'clock, we'll be on the air. Eagle 98.1 game day from Rouse's starting at 1 p.m. Final score, once again, LSU wins it by a score of 24-17. Now, for Jesse and Michael running the show here, for Gordy Rush, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good evening. This has been Eagle 98.1 game day.
You've been listening to an Eagle